to the Rally in the Valley.
Hey, Mikey here. Welcome to Rally in the Valley, the series where I take rally-tuned cars down my custom rally stage in Forza Horizon 5 to see which car reigns supreme in its PI class. Today, a champion will be crowned after an overpowered mix of vehicles in the final group of S1 class take to the course, going over a bumpy and technical 4.2-mile course to determine who is the champion of S1 Rally. The rules are simple. There will be 2 chances to put down a clean time. If you miss a checkpoint and can't make it back before the reset, the run is restarted. If it happens again, that's a DQ. Let's take a quick look at the standings after the first 2 groups. Is there anybody in today's group that can jump to the top of the leaderboard, or is the Storado-inspired build going to take home the championship for S1 Rally? Let's find out. And first up, we have the 2020 Ford F450 Super Duty Platinum. This is one of 3 vehicles that's going to be running over 1,500 horsepower today. And this truck, it really is a cross-country tune. But I figured I'd give it a shot, as S1 is kind of a thin class in my rally garage, and this truck is at least capable. So off to the start, you can see I'm just all over, as this truck has a lot of power, 1,750 horsepower, and I believe it was 1,500 foot-pounds of torque, so it really had a lot of power to put down. And at the beginning, you could just see that it really was putting it down well. But for its size, and I believe it is also the heaviest in the field, but for its size, it's actually got some agility to it. I mean, it's not going to be the best, as this run is feeling a little shaky to start. Like I said, a lot of power being put down, and it feels a little uncontrollable, but it does have a lot of agility, so it takes a little getting used to backing off on how much you actually have to back off on it. As we get to the second tarmac section, I'm feeling okay about this run. I'm actually kind of curious about it. Just again, a little too much speed going into that left-hand turn going onto the gravel section. But it feels... I'm having a hard time coming up with the words to properly state how it feels, the composure of the truck. It has kind of an oxymoronic feel to it when I say what I'm thinking. An out-of-control composure to it. Yes, it wants to get loose. Yes, it wants to get out of control. But for the most part, it will come back to where I need it to go. So as we're on the last of the tarmac sections, I'm actually surprised that the out-of-control portion of the out-of-control composure hasn't taken hold, though there has been a few times where I've come close to basically tanking the run, but so far it has held up. And going through the hairpin section, this really feels like it's going to be a decent run. Not top of the leaderboard, but definitely a lot better than I was expecting, given everything with this truck. As we go around the last corner again, just a little too deep, and we come across the line. Wild run, 2 minutes 53.558 seconds. A decent run, better than I expected, going to put it 6th out of the 11 vehicles that have gone so far. And up next, we have the 2022 Cupra Formentor VZ5. This is kind of an interesting one, as it was just kind of a tune I decided to throw together at one point, and it actually was fun to drive, so I decided to give it a shot. This is going to be the second lowest horsepower vehicle of the 5 running today, but you can see it still has a lot of power, and it's putting it down. And like most of the vehicles, it was kind of a struggle on the tarmac sections, as it just didn't have the grip, and it just kind of wanted to throw itself through the corners, which usually is fine. So as I'm again, I take these through a little bit of a practice session before I actually run them. But it still takes a little bit getting used to in some of the turns on this course, and you can see that I'm getting through the valley very well. Maybe a little bit behind on my steering, but as long as I'm getting through properly here, for the most part, it won't cause an issue. So as we head out towards the end of the valley and the left-hand turn, this Formentor just starts feeling better and better. Again, it's not one of the best that I've driven, but it wasn't horrible either. Did like to get sideways a lot. As we head to the second tarmac section, the valley section felt pretty good, though I am worried, especially after the first section, about its performance on the tarmac section, because there is one more to go after the gravel. But as we get to the gravel, I'm feeling basically I have to back off a little bit more. It handled the dirt section well, but it didn't feel as if it was handling the gravel section as well as it could have. So that really just made me feel like I had to back it off, slow it down a little bit. So the Formentor's run really wasn't as good as I would have liked it to have been. Though it is a strong vehicle, I do just need to try to figure out the way to get it to handle the gravel section better. But again, just too much speed going through and not enough grip with the off-road race tires on the tarmac section. But we get into the last dirt section, and this is really where this vehicle felt like it shined. It really felt great on the dirt sections. Again, I think it was a little bit uneven in terms of like the breakdown of how it did comparatively in the other sections, as I get a little oversteer heading into the hairpin, which is not ideal, as you want to have a clean of a run through there so you can get through the water the best you can. But as we come around the last left-hand turn and across the finish line, the Cooper is going to put up a time of 2 minutes 55.26 seconds, which is going to put it near the bottom of the leaderboard. Not a bad run, but still not what I expect. Up next, we have the 2017 Ford F-150 Raptor, the S1 sibling to Big Gold, again 1,750 horsepower, 1,475 foot-pounds of torque. So this truck is 2,000 pounds lighter than the F450, has the same power, but a lighter package. But that lighter package actually was easier to drive, even with the outrageous power that this truck puts out. So as we head through the first tarmac section, this is actually one of the better tarmac runs that these high-powered heavies are putting out so far. And we get into the valley, and it feels a lot like it is a sibling of Big Gold, as it just a little bit of wobbling, but it was keeping its forward momentum well and handled a lot better than the F450. But yeah, this is again a truck that really would be a lot better on a cross-country course, but I can't complain about the run that it's doing here on a rally run. So we go through the googly eyes and head towards the second tarmac section. And we just, again, a lot of power, a lot of torque, but this truck, for the most part, wasn't feeling out of control, which is funny because it definitely felt like it should have been able, just looking at the size and the power, just felt like it should have been hard to handle. It should have been just very difficult, but no, the F-150 actually was more of a pleasure to drive. As we head to the last of the tarmac sections, I'm thinking this is going to be a great run, but I just couldn't get the grip to get around the turn, and we have to start the run over. Missed the checkpoint. So as we start run number 2 with the F-150, again, knowing that if it doesn't finish, it is out of the competition. We almost had an adventure on the first turn, driving a little deep. Again, the lack of grip on these off-road race tires on the tarmac sections sometimes makes things a little more adventurous. Though on this run, I do have to admit that I was trying to back it off a little bit as I clipped the wall that funnels you into the valley. I tried to back it off a little bit and drive a little deeper at the same time, which could have landed me in some trouble, but luckily that's a point where it's very difficult to get into too much trouble. And again, I almost go sailing off, trying to be a little deeper with the turns, but maybe back it off a couple percent on the throttle. But as we get through the left-hand turn, very much more composed. Again, I'm back to finding the rhythm with this truck. Just making it through this section under the googly eyes and onto the second tarmac section, feeling really good about how this truck is running and how, even with the missed checkpoint on the first run, how it has been running. Take the dragon section a little bit better. Get into the gravel, again, just making sure that I keep it going in the right direction. Again, got a little aggressive trying to get through, aided by a bump that does kind of throw you there. You do have to make sure you are aware of some of these bumps, as they can have a impact and throw you way offline. Took that section very aggressively, aimed right for the checkpoint flag, so if there was any bump that threw me off to the left, that would have been a big problem, and this time I made sure to slow it down much more before coming into that checkpoint that I missed the last run. As we head in towards the last dirt path, this is feeling like a very good run for a truck that really is more of a cross-country tune. It's more comfortable with the wider open spaces, the bigger area between checkpoints, not trying to make sure you're hitting basically car and a half to 2 car width gates for checkpoints. As we get into the hairpin, go a little wide, but that actually is going to work for me, as it allows me to put more into getting across the water, though I turned myself into the balls and just barely cut across the finish line at 2 minutes 51.923 seconds. A great run out of this F-150 Raptors that puts it into 4th. And up next is a 2017 Ford Fiesta RSM Sport. The lowest horsepower entry out of this group at only 629 horsepower. This is also the only one not running on off-road race tires, as it is running on rally tires. And that's usually a bad sign of things, and especially in the off-road sections. But it got through the tarmac section a lot better than most vehicles have. Not surprisingly, as the rally tires do provide good grip on the road sections, but the trade-off is that they start becoming an adventure in the rally sections, and actually so far it didn't feel too bad. It didn't feel like I was losing too much grip or anything like that. But as I get here and I'm almost 90 degrees to the direction I need to go, as that was way overturned, I'd start realizing, this run is going to be a bit of a pain outside of the 3 tarmac sections that only make up about 25% of the course. But as you can see, very wobbly through the trees, very difficult to get turned in onto the tarmac section. But again, on the tarmac section, this is where this is really expected to do well. As we get onto the gravel section, I was actually hoping that the gravel section would be alright, but again, the rally tires just did not provide enough grip off-road for don't want to say comfortable driving experience, but an easy, predictable driving experience off tarmac. So I did have to back off just a little bit, again also losing time slamming into that tree. But on the tarmac sections, very controlled, even going sideways into a slide. I did get a little bit oversteered there, but was quickly able to get it back up and point it in the right direction again. And again, just going down this section, it is so easy to throw yourself off course, and I was a little bit far to the left, trying to correct. Again, got just very sideways, more than I would have liked. And I like to be able to throw cars in sideways, but this just did not keep pointed in the right directions enough on the dirt sections to put up a very good run. So as we cross the finish line, 2 minutes 53.725 seconds, and that's going to put it near the bottom of the field in 8th. Our last up for S1 class is the 1971 Plymouth Barracuda. Again, another high horsepower vehicle, this time at 1500 horsepower, and in my favorite new subgenre, the Muscle Rally. And like a lot of Muscle Rally before it, it actually felt really, really good. Again, just a little bit of grip problem on the tarmac section with the off-road race tires, but handled it very well. Just a few slips and slides, not anything serious. And even with all that horsepower, and really not a lot of weight to go with it, just around 3,200 pounds, it really felt really good. It didn't feel like it was overpowered. It didn't feel out of control. And other than that, your spin right there, but again, was able to get it back under control. The Barracuda really did feel good on this course. This was just something I built to build, basically, and I'm kind of glad that I did. I'm kind of glad I'm getting into that muscle rally, as it really did feel good during that dirt section. Again, down the short tarmac section, not really anywhere to get into trouble, handled it well, got onto the gravel, and the Barracuda really did allow me to get a little more aggressive on the throttle. The turn in was really good on this car. As I told it to turn, it decided to turn. Which this car was interesting. I knew it was capable, but I didn't have any kind of background for where it would actually fully excel, if anywhere. And that one looked like it missed the checkpoint, but I must have just clipped the flag because I did not get a missed checkpoint notice, as that would have been the second time that checkpoint caused problems. But on to the last section again, feeling really, really good on this run. Keep the car keeping really, for the most part, very composed, despite its high power, low weight. As we head into the hairpin section, got through, cornered very well, was able to get back on the gas, maybe a little early getting back on the gas, but that did help going through the water section. Coming across the line, and that is going to be the end of S1, 248.386 seconds. As we take a look at the standings, the Kazi and the Racing Puma really are the only two outliers. Everything else is 255, 260, and better. And the Barracuda is going to finish second with its 248.386 second time. But nothing really could touch the Storado build. I mean, it just was a dominant car from go. It really was a fun car when I tuned it, and it was a great car for this competition. It really held the course, and it held up since the first group of S1. So that is going to be it. A-Class is going to have one more shot at the course, as there are going to be a few more vehicles in A-Class to determine that champion. And then there's also going to be a special release after the rally recap and from S1 and A-Class, and that will be out in about a month. So, A-Class in a few weeks. Until then, have a good one, and I will see you later.